Hello and welcome. Today, I have a question for you. How can one cup of coffee become a symbol of global lifestyle? In this lesson, we'll explore the incredible journey of Starbucks, from a tiny shop in Seattle to a coffee empire with thousands of stores around the world. You'll improve your English listening, learn powerful business vocabulary, and discover the secrets behind Starbucks' success. So, take a sip of your coffee, get comfortable, and let's begin this journey together. In 1971, three friends, Jerry Baldwin, Zev Siegel, and Gordon Boker, opened a small store in Seattle, Washington. They didn't sell coffee drinks. They sold coffee beans, tea, and coffee-making equipment. The name Starbucks came from a character in the classic novel Moby Dick. They wanted a name that felt mysterious, adventurous, and connected to the sea. The shop was simple. There were no soft chairs, no jazz music, no internet. Just shelves of coffee beans and a passion for quality. In 1982, a young man named Howard Schultz joined Starbucks as the marketing director. 1 year later, Schultz visited Italy. There, he saw something that would change his life, and the future of Starbucks. It was the Italian coffee culture. Small cafes where people stood at the counter, talking, laughing, and enjoying espresso. It wasn't just coffee. It was a daily social ritual. Schultz thought, what if we bring this experience to America? Not just sell coffee beans, but create a place where people meet, talk, and feel at home? This idea was bold. It was risky. And not everyone at Starbucks agreed. Have you ever had an idea so strong that you couldn't stop thinking about it? That's exactly how Howard Schultz felt after his trip to Italy. He had seen something special, a culture where coffee was more than a drink. It was connection. It was community. When Schultz returned to Seattle, he was full of excitement. He told the Starbucks founders, "We should serve coffee drinks in the store, just like in Italy." But they said no. Their vision was different. They wanted to keep selling coffee beans and equipment, not run a cafe. Schultz was disappointed, but he didn't give up. He started sharing his idea with anyone who would listen. He believed people in America were ready for a new coffee culture. In 1985, he decided to open his own coffee shop called Il Giornale. It was inspired by the Italian cafes he loved, with fresh espresso, friendly baristas, and a warm atmosphere. The shop was a hit. Customers loved the experience. They didn't just come for the coffee, they came for the feeling. 2 years later, something big happened. The founders of Starbucks decided to sell the company. And Schultz saw his chance. When Schultz heard that Starbucks was for sale, his heart started racing. This was the opportunity he had been waiting for, a chance to turn his dream into reality. But there was one big problem. He didn't have enough money to buy the company. The price was $4 million, a huge amount at that time. Schultz began meeting with investors. He explained his vision, a place where people could gather, relax, and enjoy high-quality coffee in a warm environment. Many people didn't believe in the idea. Some said Americans would never pay more than $1 for a cup of coffee. But Schultz kept going, meeting one person after another. Slowly, he convinced enough investors to join him. After weeks of stress, endless presentations, and sleepless nights, he finally collected the money. In 1987, Howard Schultz bought Starbucks. He now owned 6 stores in Seattle, but in his mind, he saw thousands more around the world. It was time to take Starbucks far beyond the streets of Seattle. After buying Starbucks, Schultz knew he had to move fast. He wanted to bring his vision of an Italian-style cafe to life, but with an American twist. In each store, he added comfortable chairs, warm lighting, and the smell of freshly brewed coffee. He trained baristas not just to serve drinks, but to smile, remember customers' names, and create a friendly atmosphere. He wanted every Starbucks to feel like a third place, not home, not work, but somewhere in between. The menu began to grow. It was no longer just coffee beans. Now customers could order cappuccinos, lattes, and mochas. These drinks were new to many Americans, and people loved them. Word spread quickly. By the early 1990s, Starbucks had expanded beyond Seattle to other cities. Each new store was a small piece of Schultz's dream, a place where coffee was an experience, not just a product. But with growth came new challenges. How could Starbucks keep the same quality and atmosphere when opening hundreds of stores? It was a question Schultz had to answer if he wanted to take Starbucks to the world. By the mid-1990s, Starbucks was a well-known brand in the United States. But Howard Schultz had a bigger dream. He wanted Starbucks to become a global name. The first step was to expand beyond America. In 1996, Starbucks opened its first store outside the United States, in Tokyo, Japan. Many people doubted this move. They said Japan already had its own strong tea culture, and coffee might not fit in. But Schultz believed that Starbucks was more than coffee. It was the atmosphere, the service, the feeling of comfort. And he was right. The Tokyo store was an instant success, with long lines of customers every day. From there, Starbucks entered more countries, the United Kingdom, China, Canada, and many others. Each time, the company adapted slightly to local tastes. In Asia, they introduced green tea drinks. In Europe, they added more strong espresso options. Every new store helped build the image of Starbucks as a global meeting place. Whether in New York, London, or Shanghai, customers could walk into a Starbucks and feel at home. But global success brought new pressure. Competitors were watching, ready to copy Starbucks' style. The challenge was to stay ahead and keep growing without losing the brand's soul. By the early 2000s, Starbucks was opening a new store every day. The brand became a symbol of modern lifestyle: laptops on tables, people holding paper cups on busy streets, friends meeting after work for coffee. The company was making huge profits, but Schultz started to worry. He noticed that with such fast growth, some stores were losing the special feeling that made Starbucks unique. Service became slower in certain locations, and customers complained that the atmosphere felt less personal. At the same time, competition was getting stronger. Other coffee chains and even fast food restaurants began selling espresso drinks, often at lower prices. The market was changing, and Starbucks had to fight to keep its place. Then came the financial crisis of 2008. For the first time in years, sales dropped. Some stores were empty during hours that used to be busy. Schultz returned as CEO to lead the company through the storm. He closed hundreds of underperforming stores, invested in better training for baristas, and brought the focus back to quality. It was a difficult period, but it saved Starbucks from decline. By the end of 2009, customers began returning. The brand had survived, and was ready for a new chapter. After the crisis, Starbucks knew it had to innovate to stay ahead. The world was changing, and technology was becoming part of everyday life. One of the smartest moves was launching the Starbucks mobile app. It allowed customers to order ahead, pay with their phones, and collect rewards through a loyalty program. This made buying coffee faster and more convenient, especially for busy people. The app quickly became one of the most popular in the food and drink industry. Customers loved earning stars for every purchase and exchanging them for free drinks. It wasn't just coffee anymore, it was a game, and people wanted to win. Starbucks also started using social media to connect with customers. They shared stories, promoted new drinks, and encouraged fans to post their own Starbucks moments. This created a community feeling that went beyond the walls of the cafe. At the same time, Starbucks continued to experiment with new flavors and seasonal drinks, like the famous pumpkin spice latte. These limited-time offers created excitement and kept people coming back. By embracing technology and creativity, Starbucks secured its place not only in the coffee market but also in modern culture. By the 2010s, Starbucks was no longer just a coffee shop. It had become a part of daily life for millions of people around the world. For many, carrying a Starbucks cup was almost like wearing a fashion accessory. It said something about your lifestyle: busy, modern, connected. Students used Starbucks as a place to study. Freelancers turned it into their office. friends met there for long talks over lattes. The company carefully maintained this image. Stores were designed to feel warm and welcoming, yet stylish. Background music, comfortable seating, and the smell of coffee worked together to create the perfect environment. Starbucks also embraced local culture in each country. In Japan, they opened stores with traditional architecture. In China, they introduced tea-inspired drinks. In Europe, they respected the slower coffee drinking traditions. This ability to be both global and local kept Starbucks relevant everywhere. It was no longer just selling coffee. It was selling a feeling, a place, and an identity. But in a fast-changing world, even the strongest brands must adapt. The next challenge for Starbucks would be meeting the growing demand for sustainability and ethical business practices. As Starbucks grew, so did the criticism. Environmental groups pointed to the mountains of disposable cups the company produced every year. Others questioned where the coffee beans came from and how farmers were treated. Starbucks knew it had to respond. The company began investing in sustainable sourcing, making sure its coffee was bought under fair trade conditions. They worked directly with farmers, providing training and support to improve both quality and income. On the environmental side, Starbucks introduced reusable cups and discounts for customers who brought their own. They also started testing cup recycling programs and committed to reducing plastic waste, including removing plastic straws from stores. These steps were not just good for the planet, they were good for business. Many customers, especially younger ones, wanted to support brands that cared about the world. By taking action, Starbucks strengthened its image as a company with values, not just profits. The brand had faced challenges, adapted, and continued to grow. But the real story of Starbucks was not only about coffee, technology, or sustainability. It was about connection, a connection that stretched from coffee farmers in remote regions to customers in big city cafes. From a small shop in Seattle to more than 30,000 stores worldwide, Starbucks has become one of the most recognizable brands on the planet. But its true power is not just in selling coffee, it's in creating moments. Every day, millions of people step into a Starbucks. Some come to start their morning, some to meet friends, others to find a quiet space to work. In each case, they're not only buying a drink, they're buying an experience. Howard Schultz once said that Starbucks is about the human connection over a cup of coffee. That idea turned a local business into a global symbol of community and lifestyle. The Starbucks story teaches us that success is built on more than a product. It's built on vision, consistency, and the ability to adapt while staying true to your values. So the next time you hold a warm cup in your hands, remember, behind that drink is a journey of dreams, risks, failures, and triumphs. And maybe, just maybe, your own big idea is waiting for you to take the first step. I hope this story has inspired you not only to improve your English, but also to think bigger about your own life. Maybe your dream is to start a business, learn a new skill, or change your career. Whatever it is, remember that every great achievement starts small, often with one brave decision. Keep learning, stay inspired, and who knows, your story might be next.